Welcome to Home, Space and Reason, a podcast about creating a home that thrives.
Hi there, I'm Christina Browning, your host. If you know your home could be so much more than it is, I discuss home functionality, aesthetics, and automation. I'm a realtor in Portland, Oregon, and a home functionality coach. I geek out on every subject imaginable regarding your home and yard, challenging you to think of your space differently to get the most out of every square foot. I pose questions for you to think through about your space and your reason. This podcast is all positive, offering you virtual fist bumps and celebrating every win. Remember, there's no such thing as perfect, but you can still aim for your best every day. Join me on social media by searching for the handle Space and Reason. Oh, the nag of perfection. What we think we're supposed to be, supposed to look like, or the amount of stuff we think we are supposed to get done or accomplish. For some of us, it's a struggle, and one of the reasons why I start out every episode with a reminder that there's no such thing as perfect. It's as much for myself as it is for you. Nathan Howe posted a story on social media that someone else screenshot and reposted, and it's such a good story that I wanted to share it with you here today. It reads, quote, "Several years ago, a neighbor kid kicked a football and shattered a small basement window. We were a family of 6 living on a teacher's salary at the time, so I boarded it up thinking I'd get to it someday. The frame was rusted shut. I couldn't fix it. Over the years, I'd sometimes get estimates from window companies. Of course, the plan was to upgrade to energy-efficient windows for the whole house. $15,000. It was simply out of reach. In the meantime, the boarded window let bugs in, but not light. One contractor explained that the location of the window with the frame embedded in the foundation meant that whoever replaced it would need to chisel it out by hand, a labor-intensive and expensive process. And there were 6 of those windows in the house. Honestly, the thought of that window ate at me for years. Every time I went down there, every time I went to the hardware store, it nagged at me. I knew I needed to address it, but I had built up the process and the price so much in my mind that I was paralyzed. Then, my wife had a job change, and we needed to move. I knew that a potential buyer couldn't get an FHA loan on the property if there was a broken window. So I pulled off the boards and cardboard to face this thing head on. It had been at least 5 years since I looked at it. I thought, what the heck? I'm going to have to pay for it anyway. I grabbed some WD-40, sprayed all around the rusted frame, and gave it a tug. To my astonishment, it moved for the first time in decades. I pulled the window out and took it downtown. It was $12 to fix the glass. I could have fixed the problem for $12 the same day it happened, but I let it haunt me for years, shutting out light and letting in bugs, and I finally fixed it for somebody else when the house was empty. It didn't need to be the most efficient brand, it just needed to be a functioning window. Okay, this isn't really about my window. I mean, the story is true, but it's also a decent parable Many of us, especially those with ADHD, anxiety, or depression, tend to live with broken windows of one type or another for years. Everybody's broken windows are different. They are things that seriously affect our quality of life, and we know they need work, but the actions to address them seem daunting. I've still got plenty of them myself. If you recognize yours, a few things to know. Number 1, an imperfect solution now is better than a perfect solution that will never happen. I'm going to repeat that. An imperfect solution now is better than a perfect solution that will never happen. Number 2, doing the thing is often less painful than thinking about doing the thing. Number 3, acknowledging how the problem is affecting you can reduce its power over you. Number 4, don't blame yourself for dwelling on your broken windows. Just enjoy the light when you fix one. Number 5, there are some windows you can't fix by yourself. Just find the right help for the right window. And lastly, number 6, you don't have to fix it all now. Just start by starting. End quote. I love this story so much because we can all identify with it in one way or another. The things I've talked about throughout many episodes of this podcast are scattered throughout this story. The most obvious one is there's no such thing as perfect, but also the buildup of projects that haunt you can be debilitating. And so, as I say, baby steps count. Also, you are not alone in feeling this way. So many of us get hung up on procrastination of a project because it seems way bigger than it actually might be. Let's practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself as you would a good friend. Talk with kindness, grace, and giving comfort. Acknowledge your fears, a fear of failure, or maybe a fear of criticism, or maybe rejection. They're common driving forces behind perfectionism. Identifying these fears in yourself is an important step in being able to challenge them. And finally, let's reframe our thinking. Unhelpful thinking patterns act to maintain the behaviors we set up to hold our fears at bay. Unhelpful thinking involves shoulds and musts. I should fix that window by replacing it with a brand new energy-efficient window. Instead, try asking yourself if you're setting impossible expectations, and if you are, maybe I can just swap out the glass. Let's just see if I can do that. Let's just see if I can do that. Look, if you're not happy with what you just did, you can always improve on it over time, or when you get time, or when you get money. But doing something, a baby step right now to address that, helps you feel accomplished. An imperfect solution now is better than a perfect solution that will never happen. Grab your pen and paper. Let's dive into a specific question. What am I putting off? That is the singular, most important question of the day. Under that, why am I putting it off? What am I telling myself about this that makes it feel impossible or difficult or unattainable or elusive in some way? What could I try that is not that big? Could I try something differently to solve the same problem? Could I come at this from a different angle? An imperfect solution now is better than a perfect solution that will never happen. If you haven't yet listened to episode 70, it's titled You in Your Home. It's about imagining a world where maybe you live next door to your best friend or work next door to one another, and there are some circumstances that allow you to enjoy a nice short visit every day. Maybe it's a phone check-in every night after dinner. This friend sees all the good attributes you possess. They root for you, they encourage you, they want you to be healthy and happy and successful. What advice would that friend give you? Listen to this episode in full by clicking on the link in the show notes. Episode 70, You in Your Home. Here's a virtual high five for taking baby steps in creating a home that thrives for yourself. If you happen to live in the greater metro Portland, Oregon area and you'd like to hire me for a home functionality session or as your realtor, jump in my calendar using the link in the show notes. Reach out to me through social media at Space and Reason or visit my website, spaceandreason.com. I'll meet you back here for the next episode.